So I did a video last week about immigration, and I had an exchange with somebody in the comments that ended in this. Fascist regime? You haven't been able to prove anything, but I'll give you another chance. Explain how this regime is fascist, and use the three branches of government in your answer. So, Brian, first of all, I appreciate the engagement, and I think we should be able to have more of these types of discussions. But that comment got me thinking, and I couldn't respond on TikTok in the limited number of characters, so I decided to do a video on it. So I googled fascism, and it gave me not only a definition, but key characteristics that'll help us decide. Let's start with the definition first. Fascism is a far-right, authoritarian, and ultra-nationalist political ideology and movement characterized by a dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, militarism, and the suppression of opposition. It emphasizes a national social hierarchy and prioritizes the perceived interest of the nation or race over individual interests, often involving strong government control of society and the economy. Fascism is opposed to communism, democracy, liberalism, pluralism, and socialism, placing it at the far right of the traditional left-right spectrum. So let's start that it's very clear that it's far right, and the Trump administration and MAGA are very, very far right. But now let's get into the key characteristics. Authoritarianism. Fascist regimes typically feature a strong, centralized government led by a charismatic dictator. Now, this is one I know that's going to be highly contested from anybody within MAGA. While they consider Trump charismatic, they will absolutely disagree with the fact that he's a dictator. The leaders that he looks up to the most around the world are the authoritarians like Xi, Kim, and Putin. Nationalism. Fascism places a strong emphasis on national identity and pride, often to the point of xenophobia and hostility towards other nations. I mean, this one you can't deny. The Trump administration and MAGA openly refer to themselves as nationalists. Not only that, Donald Trump has been known to be extremely hostile towards other nations. Militarism. Fascist regimes often have a strong military and a culture of war and violence. So first, the Trump administration has just agreed to up our defense budget to over $1 trillion. He also just put a guy in charge of the military who keeps talking about how he wants to return to the warrior ethos. And he's spending tens of millions of dollars having a military parade for himself. I'd say that's all pretty militaristic. Suppression of opposition. Fascist states employ methods to silence and eliminate dissent, including censorship, propaganda, and violence. Donald Trump does not like dissent, including from his own party. You all know this. The second that anybody in the GOP says something negative against Trump or goes against him, they immediately are in the line of fire from him. Oftentimes to the point where they mount a defense against them and try to find somebody who is more MAGA to run for their position. As far as propaganda and violence, look no further than Los Angeles right now. If you talk to anybody from LA, they're like, yeah, there's small little protests. There's a couple of cars lit on fire, a couple of things destroyed, but for the most part, they're very peaceful protests, and no, LA is not on fire. But if you're within the MAGA world, you have heard that LA is absolutely burning to the ground. So much so that it required military force. Well, there's your propaganda and your violence. Hierarchy. Fascism believes in a natural social hierarchy, with elites or a chosen race holding power over others. Do you really want me to touch this one? First of all, Trump's administration is absolutely full of billionaires. And who were all the tax cuts for? Billionaires. There's your elites. Totalitarianism. Fascism seeks to control all aspects of life, including the economy, culture, and education. Donald Trump continues to scream at the Fed to lower interest rates. He's actively got a war against Harvard and other top-tier colleges, and he's helping to lead the charge against woke culture. Yeah, he checks all three. Anti-individualism. Fascism emphasizes the collective over the individual, rejecting concepts like individual rights and freedoms. Now, this one to me isn't a perfect fit, but it still is a fit. MAGA itself is a collective. But aside from that, he does talk about things like we need to suffer a little bit now to be successful later when it comes to the economy. So I don't think that Trump and the Trump administration are completely anti-individualistic. I do think there are aspects of that fit. Perception of decadence. Fascist leaders often claim that their society is decaying or failing, and that they are necessary to restore it. Okay, this is his primary message, right? If Joe Biden wins, the country's going to fail. If Kamala Harris wins, the country's going to fail. Oh my God, LA is burning to the ground. All of these liberal cities are failing. And if your first thought is, well, he's right, they are. No, they're not. You have fallen for the propaganda. We had a booming economy when Joe Biden left. And all you heard for 4 years is how we're crumbling economically and interest is so high and we can't continue to do this. But we were stronger economically under Joe Biden at the end than we are right now under Donald Trump. That is a fact. So even if you believe that Donald Trump is economically a better president than Joe Biden or Kamala Harris would have been, you can't deny the fact that what they're doing is they're trying to present it as if they were the leaders that this country would crumble, which is in fact not true. This country was extremely healthy under Joe Biden. Our economic recovery from COVID was one of the best in the world. So yeah, this one fits. Polygnosis, the desire to create a new order and reborn nation. Make America great again. Sounds like a rebirth to me. So there you go. Trump and his administration checked just about all of those boxes. In addition, a 4-star U.S. general publicly declared that Trump was a fascist. Multiple allies of ours have now come out and said that Trump is fascist. Even if you're not ready to fully admit that Trump is fascist, you have to admit that all of this stuff that's mentioned is pretty much Trump adjacent. So to Brian or anybody else in MAGA, I'd love to hear your response and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Looking at this list of fascism, do you still disagree and think Donald Trump is not a fascist?